Our guest tonight is a member of the NFL Hall of Fame, the College Football Hall of Fame, the BYU Hall of Fame. We believe the Greenwich High School Hall of Fame. We're going to find that out. Our longtime friend, our pleasure to welcome Steve Young back to the Wise Guys. Steve, it is so great to see you. Thanks for being with us. We are just waiting to hear you. We can see you. We're just waiting to hear you.
There you go. You got me now.
Yeah, we got you. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. Are you a member of
Where's Blaine? Blaine chickened out?
He's in Mexico. Of course he chickened out.
Yeah, he's afraid. He's always been afraid.
Hey, are you a member of your high school Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know if they have one.
If they did,
I will tell you the field, the Steve Young Field. I think that's
pretty good.
That's an honor, right? That's an honor.
Well, we were researching. I was trying to figure it out, and I couldn't find it. And I thought, well, if they put you in their Hall of Fame, would they put you in on your merits from baseball, from football, or from basketball in your days at Greenwich?
Not from basketball.
Come on, you average double figures.
I tell you, all I can do is go left and drive the bucket and try to lay it in. That's all I had. And then I go hit a couple of free throws. That was all I had.
And then you were a pitcher.
Basketball was definitely. I had aspirations about basketball, but it never really materialized. Baseball, it's possible. Although I don't know. I remember I was on a beach recently, like 10 years ago, with Kevin Millar. We were doing the Children's Miracle Network thing, for Ace Shootout in Hawaii for Ace Hardware's involvement with the Children's Miracle Network. Anyway, we're on the beach with Kevin Millar, who was a Major League Baseball player for many years. And I told him that I loved baseball, but I couldn't hit the ball. I mean, I pulled everything to second base. I mean, and he goes, because you tried to muscle everything and you don't even know how to hit. So we got a bat, and on the beach, he showed me how to squish the bug and how to turn on a ball. And I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't someone tell me? If someone would have just told me how to swing. Like I muscled everything. No one taught me anything. And you think, oh, if you're a good athlete, you'll figure it out. No, you need technique. So what I could have been.
Well, we know you threw a no-hitter. We talked about that last time you were up, but I don't think we asked you, how fast was your fastball? How fast did you throw it?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't like a flamethrower, I mean, no. But I was like, I threw hard.
Yeah.
I didn't throw any curveballs because they said, it hurt your arm for football. So
just came in with heat.
By them. I can tell you what, I still have a stiff neck from watching some of the shots guys hit off of me. Because here comes another fastball, bam.
Hey, on Saturday, as part of the 100 years of football celebration at BYU, the Cougars honoring the 7 members of the College Football Hall of Fame. That includes you, Gifford Nielsen, Mark Wilson, Jim McMahon, Ty Detmer, the late Gordon Hudson, your tight end, and the late Lavelle Edwards, your coach. What, even after all these years, as you look back and your perspective changes, what does that association with that group mean to you?
Well, I mean, you got to remember, everyone else lives it out as a hero's journey. You're like, oh yeah, Steve Young, he's all Hall of Fame, he's an All-American, and and Jim McMahon and Gifford Nielsen, but we all started from nowhere, and it was a long, arduous path, and so I think we all share in the kind of the. It's almost like everyone climbs Everest from a different direction, and then you meet at the top. And when you meet at the top, you're like, hey, no way, you made it. How was the trip? You're like, oh, man, it was brutal. But we got here, And then there's a camaraderie. There's spirit to kind of honoring the journey, and then honoring so many of those that are around us that helped us, and so many who got hurt who couldn't see the full measure of their capacity.
Yeah.
The guys we played with. And so I think there's all of that kind of wrapped up in the 6 or 7 of us. And so I'm trying to describe to you something that's deeply meaningful.
Yeah.
Personally, as a group of the 5 or 6 or 7 of us, and then kind of collectively as we represent so many others. And so in that way, it's a heavy thing. It's not something that's just, you don't just, wave a hat and go, oh yeah, that's great. No, there's deep meaning in it.
No, that's a really good point. Talking to some of the quarterbacks that I played with, like Max and even Jake Heaps when he was here for a little bit, all said the same thing, right? Especially with those guys, because I was like, why are you here at BYU when you had offers to go to anywhere? And they would talk about the legacy that you guys left and how much it inspired them and helped also with recruiting. So that makes a lot of sense, and I want to say I appreciate, and I think a lot of us do as well, the mantle that you wear, and every time that we see you on TV or around campus, everybody gets all giddy and excited, and just like with the alumni game. And speaking about that, I got a bone to pick with you because I was on the losing team. This is the first time I lost, and you came in, you threw an interception. And then the other team scored off of that interception. And then you came in, I think, 2 series after that, and then you threw a touchdown for the other team. So I'm like, wait a minute, how could we can't count his touchdown and then his interception?
Well, you guys got my Buccaneers, and the other team got the 49ers. So,
P.O. still got some issues with that.
Well,
It's been
fun.
like 6 months.
It was fun. It really was fun. And it was like when they said, "Do you want to throw a couple?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. And then I threw the interception. I'm like, oh, this can't go like this. But then in the last throw for the touchdown, luckily they filmed it because I watched it a few times. I'm like, dang, man, looking people off. Good feed, good delivery. Like, maybe he could still do it for a minute. I don't know.
I was mad.
It was fantastic. We were warming up to start the broadcast, and that's when you started throwing on the sideline. We go, he's got that look in his eyes. I think he's going to try to play. And then you did. Hey, according to our research, in addition to football, you've appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Wheel of Fortune, Beverly Hills 90210, Wings, Lois and Clark, and Dharma and Greg, among others. Which of those made you the most nervous?
It was the one with Terry Hatcher. What was all of those you just described? I played myself.
Lois and Clark had Hatcher in it.
Lois and Clark. Like yourself. It was Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
That's the one where Terry Hatcher was she had been a 49er cheerleader and really had, we'd known each other and it was kind of fun. And she goes, I want you to try to act. And so I'm going to give you a role, Joe Gordon or something like that. So I went down there and I'm like, oh crap. My acting was like 4 lines. It was like nothing, but it was like, I had to show frustration and I had to kind of like be, upset. And I remember the director's like, well, let's try it again. But like, try to like, not be so upset, like not be so like, and I couldn't deliver it. Couldn't do it. Like I learned a lot about acting and how acting's really kind of doing it like it's like you're not, and I just, that was embarrassing. I remember walking away from Terry. I was like, so sorry. That was terrible. That was terrible. They were I loved them all. Anytime anyone asked me, I'm doing it. It was super fun. I loved any chance I got, except for something about Mary. That's the one. It was the 2 brothers that had written the script for something about Mary, and they were 49er fanatics.
Yeah,
and they'd written it for me. Like I was in the movie not as a side light, but it was like, no, it's about you. You're in it. And I'm like, all right, well, send me the script. And I remember I saw the first page of the script. I read it, and I mean, 5 lines in. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not. I mean, it was
it wasn't for you, is what you're saying.
It was insanity. And I'm like, there's no way I can do this. So they went back to him. I said, I can't. It's just too crazy. It's too insane. I can't, I can't. And they're like, you got to. Come on, man. Come on. And I'm like, I can't. I just can't. It's too wild. It's too nuts. And they finally gave it. Okay, well, who would do it? And I was like, this script?
Brett Favre?
No, like Dan Marino, no, like called Brett Favre.
They called
Favre did it.
Yes,
and Favre did it famously, as you can remember, because I remember thinking, this script is terrible. This movie's going to be terrible. And then it was a hit.
Yeah.
It was a huge hit, and they still kept me in there. A couple of lines about me in there. I thought it was fun, but
hey, you saved Favre's career a second time.
There you go.
Former BYU quarterback Steve Young's on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News. Mahan Rai on our live stream from Jakarta, Indonesia, as Cougar fans from all over the world checking in to hear you, Steve. This team's 5-0. They're 14th in the country. What do you think about them?
It's best case scenario, and everyone knows it. And I think that I've been really concerned about, now that we're in the Big 12, how do you represent? How does BYU, out of independence, we could kind of do it however we wanted to do it, and we could take it as it came. But now all of a sudden you join the Big 12, and it feels like there's a responsibility that comes with it. There is we better rise up.
Yeah.
And we're going to do that in recruiting, which, we've got to get better at. We've got to do it. We can't just run out of the portal every year. We've got to recruit the top freshmen every year and be willing to get beat by USC and Georgia and whoever else. That's fine. But this season felt like things that could go haywire as we try to represent the Big 12 and the teams we're going to play and where we sit. And I've always said, if we have a good quarterback, we're going to be good. And Jake, love him. I was like, Jake's last year was like, oh my gosh, it felt like every seventh play I was like, oh, I hope it goes okay, but some guys, that's all they ever get to. But Jake's the kind of dude that kind of doubled down, got in, did the work, tried to figure out a way to not lose who he was, and yet clean it up. And I think that what's happened is the defense and Jay Hill, unbelievable. It's the best defense we've had in, I'm sorry, I don't know, maybe who knows what the season ends up with, but it is an incredibly powerful defense. And it gave the offense space and Jake space to kind of grow and to kind of not have to be under the gun and can kind of not be the reason at first. And I think because of that, they became the reason in some ways. They could lead out. And I've loved how this has all happened. And I have to say that the defense and Jay Hill are the ones that have allowed for it to happen. And then I got to give Jake and the offense so much credit and really, A-Rod and everybody they've all grown into the full measure of who they could be. This is kind of the best offense that I could have imagined. And yet here we are, not even midseason. So, I know that things could go haywire, but it feels like with that defense and how we've kind of grown into offensively a lot more confidence in Jake. I'm ready for anybody. I honestly feel like I just bring it on.
Right.
And,
let's go play.
And if somebody punches us in the face and we don't have an answer for it, fine. We'll chew on the next guy. Like, we're just not going anywhere. I think it's going to be a lot of fun this season.
I think that was the mindset that when I got into this program in 2009 that we had, we'll go play anybody anywhere. And I remember we beat Oklahoma that year. And prior, the program had some pretty big wins. So it feels good to have that attitude back. Steve, when it comes to Jake and his improvement, what's the biggest thing that you've seen him improve on from last year to this year?
He's held on to his swashbuckler kind of mentality, but he's limited the goofball mistakes. Now, he still has them. And I think that we're going to have to just love him through some of them. There's some of you like, oh, Jake, no, don't, there were court interceptions that I threw that my lineman would turn to me and say, you did that on purpose. Like, I did not do that on purpose. He goes, how could you not have done that on purpose? To his chest. Like, what were you thinking? Like, it's impossible. And I think about that with Jake. It's like, there's got to be times when people are like, did you do that on purpose? Because it sure felt like it. And I know he didn't, but it's funny that I lived that and I joke with that. But I think, Jake grown up a little bit through the fears and anxieties that he had coming in? Can I put quarters together, hold drives all the way through the end zone? Can I come out under duress, out of the backed up? Can I come out of halftime? Can I close a game? Can I watch out for those goofball things that I do that I know that I don't mean to, but it's just like And I think that he's just grown up, and I'm happy. I'm just ecstatic for him. And there's a lot more to do, but every game is a lifetime in quarterbacking, especially in the big games. And you go to Baylor, and like he's learning, he's having incredible experiences, learning and yet winning. That's the greatest thing in the world. I'm learning and winning. Phew, sign me up. So what's the most that Jake can do? I don't know, but he's on a course to continue to get better. Do I think that there's a chance that Jake has a game where it's just like, oh my gosh, what in the world just happened? It's possible.
Yeah.
But it's getting less possible.
Do you think that's
I love that about him, because he is a really fun dude to be around, and he is infectious, and I love that about him.
Do you think that those goofball moments can be coached out of a quarterback, or is that something that, like you said, you kind of have to?
Coaching is an important piece to it, especially in the off season, which sounds like a lot of it happened. I give credit to the offensive staff and him grinding through the off season, because I think that there are things that can happen in the classroom that can make a difference. And then I think more than anything, he's lived it out on the field. Like you can see there's times when things go haywire and he's like, oh, and then he comes back and he doesn't. I think maybe the best thing I say to you is that I felt like sometimes Jake could put 2 or 3, boneheaded plays together. You're like, oh my gosh. And I feel like if you get one, you're not going to get 2. You know what I mean? It's like he's grown up and gotten better. And honestly, I tear up thinking about quarterbacks going through it and finding ways to find the full measure of who they couldn't be. Like, it's like, because so few guys have the support, so few guys can get on the field and stay on the field, so few guys can have that kind of success. So like, he's in a beautiful place right now, and if he cares, and he's just got a super care about, and I know he will, like building off of the experience I've had. Don't get cocky. Have that vulnerability and humility that started the season. Like, I'm not sure. I'm just going to go out and try to put some good plays together. Like, hold on to that. Like, I don't want to see 5-0 Jake Retzlaff go out there and like, I'm 5-0 and man, I'm just going to rip it. Like, no, like stay, what was it? Hitch, the movie Hitch was like, stay home. Don't get out here waving the arms and stuff. Just stay. And I think that, I think he can make a career for himself because he's got the talent. And if he can just, it's like, I always say it's kind of like having a Ferrari in the driveway. But you come out every morning, there's oil and dripping down. You're like, you got to stop the oil leaking. And so I'm grateful for where he is and what he's going through and the journey he's on. And I just, and again, if something goes a little haywire, fine. But we're just going to put it behind us, and we're not going to do it. We're not doing it 2 in a row. We're not going to get into a habit. And if there's a bad game, it's not going to we're not going to get a theme going. And I think he's got the strength and now the experience to draw on to have something bad happen and like not twice. And so I think that bodes well. If our defense can continue to freaking play lights out like that, who's going to, everyone's nervous. I guarantee you, everyone on that schedule is like, "Oh my gosh, how can we get 3 touchdowns out of this game? We get 4 touchdowns, somehow eke out and get a win out of here." I think everybody's going to be saying the same thing. I mean, the opponent. I'm talking about who we play.
Thrilled to have Hall of Fame quarterback Steve Young on the Wise Guys. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com around the world tonight. In the few more minutes we have with you, and I know you have some at the top of the hour, and we'll make sure we're done. Let's play the name drop game for a few minutes. We're going to drop a random name and then have you tell us something that you've noticed that makes them unique. First things that come to your mind: personal, professional, or just observational. Short. The more short you go, the more we can throw at you. But you ready to go? We got a few.
All right, I'm gonna go off the blur because I'm enjoying my office. Go ahead.
Love it. Let's start with Ted Tollner.
Changed my life. I was defensive back with Tom Holmoe in winter practices. And he was a defensive captain, learning safety, and I was throwing up in my mouth every day. Like, I hate defense. I hate defense. I hate defense. I figured out how to throw, but I couldn't do it because the coach wouldn't coach a lefty. And Ted Tollner showed up and asked me, "Why are you not playing quarterback?" He goes, "Because I'm lefty." He goes, "Well, that's stupid." I go, "I agree." He went in and told Lavelle, let him have 2 weeks of spring ball. You know this story. I had 2 weeks of spring ball. I was throwing it all over the field. It was amazing. And the rest is history. Ted Tollner changed my life forever. I hug him every time I see him. Anyone's related to him, I hug him. And I love that guy.
Such a good man. All right. Philo?
Taysom Hill.
If you like what you're watching, you can help us out by subscribing and hitting that notification button.
I love Taysom as a human, as a teammate, and as a player. I wish that he was given the opportunity to just play quarterback. I'd love to see what Jake's gone through that cycle. I'd love to have Taysom have that shot. But you know what? If he's known for being the most versatile athlete that ever played in the NFL, I think that'd be cool too.
Fred Warner, your 49er linebacker.
A leader for all leaders. That dude is like, follow me. I mean, right now they're in a little bit of a jam, and Fred's got it. He's got that steely look and like, just follow me. And what an amazing player. He's going to be he might join me in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
which would be amazing, right? That'd be super cool.
Yeah, for sure. Jerry Rice.
The day after the Super Bowl, we had the parade. We went down. Everyone left town, gone. I went down to the facility for a minute to just kind of clean out my locker. Couldn't get in, banging on the door. The security guard finally let me in. I go out there to kind of look at the fields and reminisce on a great season. And in the back, in the corner, literally, was a guy running routes. And I'm like, who is that? I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Jerry. What is he doing? And he was like working out, catching air, like air, like. And I thought to myself, two things I thought. That is freaking amazing that Jerry Rice is down here with no one around, running routes the day after the Super Bowl. That's the lesson I have for Jerry Rice. And the second thing I thought is, am I supposed to go out there and throw to him? I really don't want to.
Well, did you?
I might have gone out and threw a little bit. I don't know. I was kind of miserable. I was still sore. But you say Jerry Rice, that's the story I want you to remember about Jerry Rice.
That's fantastic. Playing the name drop game with Steve Young on Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News. Here's a 2-for-1 with LeGrand and Sherry Young.
So I just saw him yesterday. They're killing it. And my dad is a warrior. My mom's a warrior, broke her hip, and now she's back full go. My mom is a peacemaker.
Yeah.
And I have a peaceful home because I learned how to do that with my mom. And my dad, his nickname is Grit.
Yeah.
And it's every inch of it. And I feel like I've tried to quit a lot of my life, and I could never pull it off because of my dad. And I appreciate that. So those two, man, yeah. I got him a new truck. He's super happy.
Oh yeah, what kind did you get him?
He likes the GMC. Like he likes a smooth ride.
That's awesome.
Nice. Kevin Young, BYU basketball coach.
Changing the game, flipping the script. The Big 12 let us in, and we now have a mantle of responsibility to live up to the expectations of the Big 12 and compete. And he's come in and figured out a way to wipe out 50 years of, I don't know, angst and what do we do? How do we compete? How do we compete on the biggest stage? And he's like, let me show you. Here's how you recruit. Here's how we get the money to pay the guys. Here's how we get the coaches that are going to be, and this is how we're getting set up to go win a national championship and recruit off of that. We're going to go for a national championship and speak to it. Like that's that's flipping the script. And we'll all be beneficiaries of it. Kalani's going to be a beneficiary of us. All of us at BYU are going to be beneficiaries of what he's done.
2 more with Steve Young. This next one, a lot of folks might not know how much this this man appreciates sports and is certainly a fan of yours. Russell M. Nelson, president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
So my dad always told me I had to have a dream and a plan. And my dream was to play in the NFL, play professional football and play quarterback. And my plan was always told my dad I'd go to law school and be a lawyer. 80% chance you had to have a plan, and a 1% chance or less that you had a dream. And so recently I saw my dad, and because I told him, he says you have to have a dream and a plan always. And so I said to my dad, what's the dream? He goes, 110. And I'm like, okay. And I think President Nelson might get there. You know what I mean? He's the kind of guy, he's kind of a gritty guy and there's a spirit about him that's for longevity. It's like he's built for the distance, and I appreciate that very much. And so I bet if I asked him what the dream is, he'd be like 115 maybe.
Well, when he said yesterday that the Salt Lake Temple is going to be finished in 2026, I was waiting for the next line and I'm really looking forward to seeing that done. But he left that one out.
Yeah, well, we don't have to work because he's not thinking about that. That's obvious.
Yeah.
If you think 115, you're not worried about 2026.
No,
right.
You're right. You're right. Okay, Bilo, last one.
Barbara Young.
Oh, yeah. I am. I told her this recently. We were having a kind of worrying about the kids and talking about life, and I said to her, we've grinded out 25 years of a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I am significantly better for being with you. I could have coasted. I could have done a lot of different things. And I kind of joined hands with you, and you have I am excited. Every day I'm excited to wake up and kind of do it with her. And I can't tell you how much my life has and who I am. If we're here to learn and grow, if that's the point, I found the perfect person to be with. Because, man, I am learning and growing every day. It's amazing, and I love it.
Your birthday's on Friday. What are you?
What are you talking about?
What's on your wish list? What's on your wish list?
It's LaBelle's birthday. It's not my birthday. Jeez, get it straight.
Come on. What's on your wish list?
I told her I like these chocolate chip bundt cakes. That's all I
That's all you want?
That's it. Just let the frosting and the whole. That's what I love. And warm out of the oven with some ice cream.
That took it to the next level. Warm and out of the oven. That's
easy.
I'm high maintenance.
Hey, are you going to be up here Saturday for the Hall of Fame stuff?
It is possible. We're threatening. It's possible.
Fantastic.
My wife, Barb graduated from Arizona, so she might be in.
Really?
She might be wearing red. I hate to tell you, it might be crazy. We'll see.
Steve, before you go, can you do me a favor? My mom is a huge fan of yours, like huge. She used to take me to Candlestick every weekend. It seemed like to go watch you play. If you could just say hi, Marvita. How you doing?
Marvita?
Marvita. M-A-R-V-E. Marvita Allen.
Marvita. How did you do it? What a warrior you are. Look what you did. This guy's amazing. What a legacy. Unbelievable. And if you've watched the 49ers through the years and appreciated it, we're all living it together. I'd hug it out with you because we had some good times. We had some good times. Hopefully we have some more in the future. But, man, did we have some good times. Woo.
Thank you for that.
Is that good, Bilo? Is that going to get you out of the doghouse for a little bit?
That's good.
That should do. That's a
Marvita.
ticket.
Marvita. With a B. Marvita.
Where's the name from? Marvita. Is that a family name?
I'm not sure. I think it's Spanish. I'm not sure, but
I love great names. My dad's name is Legrand. That's his given name. He hated it so much. He hated it. So then he's named his kids Steve, Mike, Jim, and Tom. And it's come on, man. With a name like Young, you gotta bring a Marvita. You gotta bring some heat.
Yeah.
You can't. Steve, Mike, Jim, and Tom is not gonna get it done. And so my brother Jim, they all had some names for their kids that kind of fight back. Andy for a girl, and just things that weren't crazy, but just unusual. And my youngest brother Jim had his youngest daughter just recently and named her Zuzu just to kind of finish it. like full circle. Zuzu is the name of my youngest niece, and Grits He's rolling his eyes, but he battled back for us. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Steve's book, the latest one, is called The Law of Love, available at deseretbook.com. We hope to see you this weekend. Thank you so much for joining us, your first class. Appreciate you.
Best. Much love to you.
Great Steve Young on The Wise Guys tonight. And thank you for watching The Wise Guys.
If you like what you're watching, you can help us out by subscribing and hitting that notification button.